Hello, Squirrel Tribe. Listen, tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, tomorrow being Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, is going to be one of the biggest events this year that I believe on television. And that is when CNN's Dana Bash does her interview with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, because Kamala Harris can't do it by herself, because then, you know, who's going to fill up the space, the dead air, when she has no idea what she's talking about, or while she's busy cackling and laughing and whatnot. Now, it will be pre-recorded so that they can edit it, of course, and nothing is going to be genuine or real, so don't get, too excited about it. But September 10th, the debate between Republican presidential candidate Donald J. Trump and Democrat presidential plop down onto the ballot because she wasn't nominated, Kamala Harris on ABC, is going to be great. Donald Trump actually came out and posted this fun little thing here that I'm going to read to you. First, though, I'd like to point out that the most embarrassing debate for Kamala Harris has been confirmed. That's the September 10th one, because she backed out of the September 4th one. Let's just keep that part in mind. There will be no notes. There will be muted microphones. They will be standing, and there will be no crowd. It's going to be glorious. But this is what Donald J. Trump had to say. I have reached an agreement with the radical left Democrats for a debate with Comrade Kamala Harris. And I love when he calls her that. It will be broadcast live on ABC Fake News, which is true because the moderator is one of Kamala's besties, the same woman who introduced her to her husband, Doug Emhoff. So, of course, she's not going to be very partial or impartial. She's going to be very partial, not very impartial. There we go. Live on ABC Fake News, by far the nastiest and most unfair newscaster in the business, on Tuesday, September 10th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The rules will be the same as the last CNN debate, which seemed to work out well for everyone except perhaps crooked Joe Biden. The debate will be stand-up, and the candidates cannot bring notes or cheat sheets. We have also been given assurance by ABC that this will be a fair and equitable debate, and that neither side will be given the questions in advance. No Donna Brazil. Harris would not agree to the Fox News debate on September 4th, but that date will be held open in case she changes her mind or flip-flops, as she has done on every single one of her long-held and cherished policy beliefs. A possible third debate, which would go to NBC Fake News, has not been agreed to by the radical left. God bless America. And this was posted today. This was posted yesterday, August 27th at 1:33 p.m. And this is great. I love the fact that Donald Trump is not afraid to call Kamala Harris what everybody else is calling her, not afraid to point out the fact that she flip-flops on everything, not afraid to remind people that ABC is fake news, as is NBC. And at this point, most of the places are. Even CNN and Fox News have been guilty of all of it, especially CNN. But even Fox News has been guilty of fake news. But I am happy that they are sticking with the original debate plans. No crowd, they will be standing, muted mics, and no cheat sheets for Kamala Harris, because we know Donald Trump does not need them. Now, this just came out also involving Donald Trump. This is from Laura Loomer. President Trump just released a statement about Jack Smith's grand jury bringing a new superseding indictment against President Donald Trump in an effort to interfere in the 2024 election. And I want to read this to you because it's extremely important. This is from Donald Trump's own fingers because he typed it out. But this just happened, I think, 24 or 48 hours ago, with him trying to come out with new ways to basically screw him over right before the election, right? He says, this is him, okay? I'm going to read this to you guys. In an effort to resurrect a dead witch hunt in Washington, D.C., in an act of desperation, and in order to save face, the illegally appointed special counsel, deranged Jack Smith, has brought a ridiculous new indictment against me, which has all the problems of the old indictment and should be dismissed immediately. His Florida document hoax case has been completely dismissed. This is merely an attempt to interfere with the election and distract the American people from the catastrophes Kamala Harris has inflicted on our nation, like the border invasion, migrant crime, rampant inflation, the threat of World War III, and more. This travesty is now on Comrade Kamala Harris, who is actively pushing it rather than immediately calling for its dismissal as should be done. This is for third world countries and banana republics, not for the USA. As Jack Smith knows, the whole case should be thrown out and dismissed on presidential immunity grounds, as already ruled unequivocally by the U.S. Supreme Court. Smith rewrote the exact same case in an effort to circumvent the Supreme Court decision. The people of our country will see what is happening with all these corrupt lawsuits against me and will reject them by giving me an overwhelming victory on November 5th for president President of the United States. For them to do this immediately after our Supreme Court victory on immunity and more is shocking. I've also been informed by my attorneys that you're not even allowed to bring cases literally right before an election. A direct assault on democracy. Where was I? This is an unprecedented abuse of the criminal justice system. The case has to do with conspiracy to obstruct the 2020 presidential election, when they are the ones that did the obstructing of the election, not me. They cheated on the election, and they go after me for cheating on the election. Interestingly, this comes at the exact same time as Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook has admitted to concealing massive amounts of information, such as Hunter Biden's laptop from hell, which is a direct acknowledgement that the 2020 presidential election was manipulated and rigged by the DOJ. What they are doing now is the single greatest sabotage of our democracy in history. No presidential candidate or candidate for any office has ever had to put up with all of this lawfare and weaponization directly out of the office of a political opponent. They've weaponized local DAs and attorney generals and anybody else that will listen to interfere with the upcoming 2024 presidential election. Never been done before. This is now Kamala's weaponized system against her political opponent. All of these scams will fail, just as Deranged Jack's hoax in Florida has been fully dismissed, and we will win the most important election in the history of our country on November 5th. Make America great again. And here you can see, if you guys look here at the screen, this is the Jack Smith's grand jury has brought a new superseding indictment against Donald Trump in an effort to interfere in the 2024 election. Jack Smith is trying to work around the July 1st SCOTUS ruling on presidential immunity. The Supreme Court of the United States ruled on July 1st that there was a certain presidential immunity. They did state that, you know, all presidents could basically live like kings at this point, but that goes for every president, whether it's a current sitting one, a previous one, anything. It goes for any president. Joe Biden currently has that same presidential immunity that Donald Trump has. So it's interesting that I'm sure there's a lot of things Joe Biden would like to use this presidential immunity for, especially since now all the information has come out about maybe the misappropriation of some sort of funds and funds coming from foreign places and people, $27 million worth to him and Hunter Biden, and numerous other instances where money has been like laundered through his brother Jim. So you would think that right now they would really not be putting any kind of focus on what the SCOTUS has come up with the presidential immunity, because it could backfire. If they push this and let something like this go against Donald Trump and just completely screw and forget what the Supreme Court has said, then the same rules would apply to Joe Biden at that point. And I know that they don't want that, because that man is old and he does not want to spend the rest of his life in jail. But it is important to know that this is what is happening right before an election as well. And it feels like it's more and more and more that they're trying to either paint a bad picture of Donald Trump in the eyes of the public, or they're trying to do every single thing they can to ensure that he will not be available for a swearing in on January 6th or taking over on January 20th. That's what it feels like, at least. So this is, I want to show you guys this right here, this little bottom part. We talked about this a couple days ago when Donald Trump went to the Arlington National Cemetery to put the wreaths on the tombs of the 13 men and women who were killed in the, I think it's called the Abbey bombing in Afghanistan. Basically what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris completely effed up. And a lot of people had an issue with it because they're like, oh, look at Trump. He's just there for, you know, media purposes and to get pictures and videos and whatever else. Well, Joe Biden didn't go. He left a little note on X. Kamala Harris didn't go, left a little note on X. And I want you guys to hear this. Family members of the service members killed in the Biden-Harris withdrawal from Afghanistan just released a statement backing Donald Trump. This is in response to the fake news NPR story blasting President Trump's visit to Arlington National Cemetery. We are deeply grateful to the president for taking the time to honor our children and for standing alongside us in our grief. These grieving families should not have to do this, but NPR forced them to. Shame on you, NPR. Now, this is what I'm about to read you, their exact statement. We would like to express our heartfelt thanks and appreciation to President Donald J. Trump for his presence at the recent Section 60 gathering, honoring our children and their fallen brothers and sisters. On the 3-year anniversary of the Abbey Gate bombing, the president and his team conducted themselves with nothing but the utmost respect and dignity for all of our service members, especially our beloved children. We had given our approval for President Trump's official videographer and photographer to attend the event, ensuring these sacred moments of remembrance were respectfully captured, and so we can cherish these memories forever. We are deeply grateful to the president for taking the time to honor our children and for standing alongside us in our grief, offering us his unwavering support during such a difficult time. His compassion and respect meant more than words can express. And then with sincere gratitude, and it has the names of family members here. Darren Hoover, who was the father of Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover, who was killed in Afghanistan. Kelly Barnett, who was the mother of Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover, that was killed in Afghanistan. Christy Shamblin, mother-in-law of Sergeant Nicole G. And Misty Rose Fuoco, sister of Sergeant Nicole G. And then Cheryl Jules, the aunt of Sergeant Nicole G. And I think it's very important to remember that the media wants to paint Donald Trump as this monster when you literally have the same people that they're saying he's a monster towards coming out and telling you, no, he was very respectful. He was great. He was there for us and we appreciate him. You can't let the media tell you that he's a bad man when every single person that comes in contact with him is saying how great he is. I'm just putting it out there like that. Is Donald Trump the best thing to walk this earth? No, obviously not. Nobody is. There's plenty of things about him I don't like. There's plenty of things about him that I really, really like. So it just kind of depends on what your overall needs and wants for this country are. And at the end of the day, Donald Trump is way more what I want and need for this country than Kamala Harris could ever even hope to be. So I wanted you guys to know that, because I think it's important to know that when NPR and people like that, publications like that, are spouting all these lies, that they are lies, and that has to be remembered. Now, this to me is very important. This is from Jesse Waters. The RNC is suing Detroit after learning the city allegedly hired 7 times more Democrats than Republicans as poll workers for this election. This comes as states across the country keep finding thousands of foreign nationals on state voter rolls. And I know a lot of y'all know this already. There's a lot of issues right now with voter registration areas and polling places where you can't get an even amount of Democrat and Republicans working the places. A lot of these locations want higher Democrats working and less Republicans. And you have to say to yourself, well, why is that? What are you trying to do that you don't want Republicans to see? And we know exactly what was done in 2020, and it's possible they're trying to do it now with everything that's going on. But I want you to hear what Jesse Waters had to say here, if I can get it to play.
Fox News alert, the Republican National Committee suing Detroit after learning the city hired 7 times more Democrats than Republicans as poll workers for the election. The RNC claims Detroit's election commission appointed about 300 Republican poll watchers compared to well over 2,000 Democrat poll watchers, breaking a state law that says there should be equal representation from both parties. RNC co-chair Lara Trump says that the committee will do everything in its power to ensure blue states play by the rules.
If you're a person who is attempting to cheat in our elections, or an illegal citizen attempting to illegally vote in our elections, we will find you, we'll track you down, and we'll prosecute you to the full extent of the law. We're watching everything. We're filing lawsuits when necessary, and we're making sure we have people everywhere votes are being cast and counted to have eyes on everything.
Much different story in Texas, where Governor Greg Abbott just announced he's removed over 1 million ineligible voters from the state's voter rolls ahead of November. Nearly 500,000 of them were dead, and several thousand were non-citizens. How are thousands of foreign nationals able to register to vote in the United States? They keep saying it's illegal, and it doesn't happen. But now Virginia and Texas have just found thousands of them. Primetime hopes that more governors will follow the lead set by...
Very interesting and very important to keep an eye on and to pay attention to, because more and more cities and states are coming out saying, oh, well, we found this many names that shouldn't be on the voter registration. We moved to Florida 2 years ago. We've been here just over 2 years, and I got a letter in the mail from Georgia because whoever's doing there trying to figure out who's eligible to vote and who isn't. They found that we don't live in the county that we lived in anymore, yet somehow we're still registered to vote there. So they sent a thing to the county that we used to live in. The county sent something to us, and they're like, hey, listen, no legal action is going to be taken, but we need you to voluntarily remove your name from the voting registration list here, since you're registered to vote in Florida where you currently reside. You can't be registered in both places. We don't own a home there anymore, so we can't be registered in both places. And so I filled out the paperwork and I, scanned it and sent it back to them to take us out of the voter registration thing there. But that happens to a lot of places. People move and their names don't get taken off. It didn't occur to me to call anybody when we sold our house and moved to Florida to go, hey, listen, by the way, take me off the voter registration. I automatically assumed that's what happened when I was no longer paying taxes in Georgia, that they would take me off the voter registration. And that's not what happens. And I think that should be on them also. If you see that there's no more taxes being paid in Georgia, take me off the voter registration. If you see that my car isn't being registered in Georgia anymore, take me off voter registration. I feel like that would be like an easy fix, right? But imagine how many people have moved or died or whatever, and they're still on the voter registration list. And when people find out, instead of taking them off, they're like, oh, let me give this name to this person. They can come in and vote. Because there are underhanded people working in these locations. Excuse me, hiccup. And I can guarantee you that not everybody wants to fix it and do things the correct way. They're willing to do things incorrectly and illegally sometimes to get what they want. I think it's very important to keep an eye on and to pay attention to. Now, last but not least, I do want to mention this to you guys as well and let you listen to this, because we know that Robert Kennedy Jr., Bobby Kennedy, RFK Jr., has started backing Donald Trump. He's been on Tucker Carlson and done an interview there. And RFK, by no means does he absolutely love Donald Trump, but he does understand that the best person for this country right now between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump is clearly Donald Trump. Tulsi Gabbard feels the exact same way. And I think that's great that he was able and willing to step aside from, even if it's personal thoughts on Donald Trump, maybe it was, being able to step out of the party's way to help unite the people for good versus evil being Kamala. Obviously, I think it's great. Now, Robert Kennedy Jr.'s running mate, Nicole Shanahan, basically, this is what Christian Movick says, goes scorched earth on the Democratic Party upon Chris Cuomo asking her why she is trusting former President Trump. Cuomo began by asking, why are you, who's known for being a savvy person, because he got hit on everybody with a vagina, so quick to trust that Donald Trump will deliver on what he says? And I'm going to let you listen to it, and then if necessary, I'll read it to you guys, but I think that you can just listen. I don't need to read it to you. I think we got this. You ready? Here we go. So this is Nicole Shanahan responding to Chris Cuomo. Maybe. Play. Do your thing. Come on, service. Literally. At least once a day it does this to me. I pay my bills, I promise.
What
Here we go.
guarantee do you have of any power over these issues in the administration? And two, why are you, who's known for being a savvy person, so quick to trust that Donald Trump will deliver on what he says?
Well, so to answer your second question first, look, where we are right now is we have taken a year. Bobby's been running for over a year. We have crossed this nation. We have talked to Americans. We have met people from all ends of the political spectrum, which is what you should be doing if you are running for a representative office. You should be there listening. And our job is to bring that voice to whomever is going to be sincere in their reception to hearing the American public, where they're hurting, what is going on. I mean, farmers are so underrepresented right now. And this is why I brought up some of my criticisms of Kamala Harris's food cap economic policy, right? Or food price capping. Farmers are on their knees in this country right now. They are not price gouging. To say that our farmers are price gouging when they are already on their knees, who can I take that message to today? You tell me, Chris, who's going to listen to me? Because I have taken this message for years to the Democratic Party, and I cannot get through to anybody. It's not like this has happened overnight. I didn't wake up one morning and say, what a great idea it would be to leave the Democratic Party. No, I tried everything
everything in my capability to get through to someone who would listen and hear this actual science, to hear the people on the ground, to listen to American voices. And we've got to judge people by their reactions. We got to judge people by the people around them. And right now, Trump has some really good people around him, and he's willing, he's more than willing to listen. He wants to listen, understand, verify, and then say, all right, who's going to help me get this done? And Bobby has been right up there next to him being like, I will get this done.
Which is the important part. You heard what she said. She has been a Democrat. It's not like she woke up today and said, I don't think I want to be a Democrat anymore. I'm going to switch sides, shits and giggles. Why not? No, she's been trying. Her and RFK Jr., her and Bobby have been trying to get the Democrats to listen to everything that they have to say about our farmers, about the food, about health in general, about numerous other things. And Democrats are, crickets for Kamala. I call it that for a reason. There's nothing. They're not giving any leeway to anybody. They don't want to hear anybody. They don't want to do anything to help. They don't have any desire to actually do anything to help the American people. And Donald Trump does. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Nicole Shanahan saw that, understood that, and said, listen, this is not something we want to do. We want to stick with our party, but our party does not want to do the right thing, does not want to help the American people. I can't sit here and sit with a party who does not care. We have got to back Donald Trump because he will listen, he will care, he will help the American people, whereas Kamala Harris only cares about Kamala Harris. You saw how Nicole Shanahan was able to answer Chris Cuomo's question without a teleprompter, without an earpiece, without Tim Walz holding her hand, without a cheat sheet, without notes, without anything. Kamala Harris could never. Y'all, Kamala Harris could never. If I sit here and try to think about what kind of answer she would have given, it would have been the dumbest shit to ever come out of somebody's mouth. She makes women seem like they're stupid. I don't like being associated with Kamala Harris. I don't want somebody seeing her and going, oh, that's what American women are like? No, boo-boo. No, not all. Just that one. Just that one. Now, there's some really dumb women out there. There's also some really dumb men out there. But do not put me in that same pigeonhole with Kamala Harris, because I will fight my way out all day long. Do not want to be pigeonholed with her. Anyways, that's it for right now. These are just things that we need to know and talk about, because mainstream media is not giving Donald Trump enough, I don't want to say airtime, but they're not talking about him in a positive way. And I wanted to bring you the positive things about Donald Trump and also let you know what they're trying to do that isn't being talked about. Everything's about Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and Joe Biden and whatever else right now. We needed to have this conversation. So I would like your thoughts and opinions, as always, in the comment section. Let's have this conversation amongst ourselves. And until tomorrow, have a fabulous night. I love y'all. Goodbye.